fellow Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike. I am the Nightwing, Way of Life Esports, coming at you guys with another League of Legends video. So, there's a lot going on in the League of Legends community right now. There's been talks about a lot of players not starting for LCS rosters or getting teams in general. I think that when we look at North America, there's a lot of teams that kind of want to be branded as a winning brand other than, building up talent. Now, I think that building up talent includes, going through a lot of steps. I think people really take building talent to a lot of different discussions without exactly trying to understand what's the overall complication of building talent. You can't just build talent in a day or a week or a month. It takes quite a bit of time to really sufficiently build a player to the competitive scene of League, and then after that make sure he's ready overall to be able to play competitively against, well, every other pro. And there's a lot that people just don't take into that consideration. Now, there's a lot that North America can improve on, and I'm still going to do that podcast about how North America can improve, obviously. But I think that there's so many other things in which we can obviously look at and see that there's just a lot going on, that a lot of players just really aren't getting their due diligence. And I know a lot of people were talking about, a lot of rosters that didn't take chances on North American mids, and, why aren't we taking chances on our own homegrown talent? Probably because, guys, really, let's be honest here, is there really any homegrown talent here? There's probably, I'm going to just take a shot in the dark. In the last past, how long has the LCS been alive? The LCS has been alive since 2013, so that's 2 splits times, let's see, 2013 and 2019, that's 6, so 2020. So 2013 to 2020, we'll have, what is that number that I'm looking at right now? Let me grab my phone really quickly. So that's 2 times 7. So that would be 14, right? There's been 14 splits since 2013, all the way up till now. And I'm going to count, there's probably maybe 20 players at most, maybe less if I'm being completely honest with you guys here. How has the region not developed its own talent? I mean, the whole importing thing came from 2015 after, Samsung White won 2014 Worlds. After that, every other place in the world just started to import Korean talent, not really realizing that there's a lot of complications that go with that. And then North America, instead of basically trying to brand away from that, they just more or less so embraced it rather than trying to get away from it. Because remember, EU actually had their best, highest placings without imports. And that's something to really, truly be very keen when you're looking at what can really get a team success. Look at last year in 2018 with Fnatic making the finals against IG. They might have gotten obliterated and destroyed, but they made it with no imports. G2 this year made it with no imports. And, even if you look at Cloud9 from 2018, you look at that and go, there were 2 imports, but the other 3 players were North American. So it's not that, we have tremendously garbage players. It's not that. I think that these players need a structure around them that is able to give them a chance at playing while being able to flourish in other ways. And what I mean by that is that if you put 5 NA players together on a team, all rookies, you are probably going to go 0-18. That's probably going to happen. But now let's say if you pair that rookie team with 2 veterans, 2 veterans, let's say one's a star player and one's a shot caller. Okay, now your team is probably going to do pretty well. There's a bunch of ways to do it, but this also doesn't make it any better, is that Demonte and Pobelter are not going to be having teams. I know Demonte was on Hotline League. I was watching it. It was pretty funny tonight how there are some callers on Hotline League just raging at FlyQuest. I mean, FlyQuest is, man, I hate really talking bad about, other brands, because I respect brands no matter how kind of whack they are, or if I just don't like the team. FlyQuest is whack. FlyQuest is whack. I'm sorry to anybody who's a fan of FlyQuest. They are whack. I don't understand how they haven't really garnered any type of growth since they've been in the league. I knew this would happen. I got flamed to death on Reddit saying that, they were going to be a bottom feeder team and they obviously, haven't really done much to improve. We kicked out Immortals for this team. Just keep that in mind. We kept Echo Fox and FlyQuest over Immortals. Immortals, who had been in the league, went 33-2 or something like that, went to Worlds, and we kicked them out and we kept Echo Fox and FlyQuest. Now, needless to say, FlyQuest had a horrible summer split and has had pretty terrible splits overall, where they can't clutch it out, they don't make playoffs, and Echo Fox is non-existent anymore. Not paying players on time, and just a bunch of other stuff, all that Rick Fox scandal. We kicked out a really good org for other two really, not so good ones. I mean, that's just something that North America has to understand, is that, things are not going to be as easy when you transition into another way, when you're trying to enact change. But I think that enacting change is something you need. I think a lot of these teams need change, so that's how I feel about it right now. So Pobelter, for the first time since Season 4, I won't be playing on an LCS team this split. He wrote a twit longer. Now, I'm not too sure if this is the entire twit longer, so I'm going to click on his twit longer tab really quickly. If that is the correct way it's accurately worded, I will be obviously reading it from here, because over here it's like, kind of more cool and a lot, well, it's light mode. I can't really see the words properly. So let me actually compare them really quick. For the first time LCS, and then blah, 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 to be honest. All right, so it's cool. Okay, it is 100% legit. All right, so Pobelter talking here in this all paragraphs that I'm going to read. For the first time since Season 4, I won't be playing on an LCS team to split. I went through a lot of rough emotions recently. First, it was shock. Is this for real? Disbelief. I can't believe these teams would pick up these players so much worse than me. Frustration. I don't think I can bear to watch LCS from the sidelines. This is BS, sadness. Nobody wants me. And I was very angry as well, both at myself and for not playing better last year. Also, at the teams who, in my humble opinion, are just making baffling decisions and signed random imports, washed up players who don't work hard and are just playing for a paycheck in North America. It's kind of disappointing. As well as that, I had calls with a couple of teams who seemed very interested in acquiring me as a player, and then were very unresponsive the next day. Told me to just wait as they sorted things out. They ended up sort of just ghosting me. I was even willing to accept a pay cut, try out, boot camp, do anything to get my foot in the door. I thought I could expect a little bit more given my history of success within North America at least, but there was nothing. To be honest, I still think it's really crazy I couldn't find a team, but I need to accept that reality. So that's the first part of that. I don't disagree with that first part of his statement. I think that, there are a lot of washed up players who don't even play solo queue. I mean, that's not even a lie. Look up their actual solo queue accounts. They don't even really play, personally. All right, back to his statement. To be honest, I still think it's crazy I couldn't find a team, but I need to accept that reality. I wanted to reiterate that point because, a lot of people have this problem with not accepting reality, but he was able to accept that, and I respect that. I still think that I'm one of the best players. It bums me out to read that the mainstream opinion is that I'm good enough for NA, can't perform on the international stage, and there's a lot of people who are just being revisionist and claiming I never even play well domestically, when I actually played so effing good all of summer 2017 and all of 2018. I invite you to rewatch all of those playoff series I played during that time frame and tell me I was a role player or got carried. By the way, I don't think I've hit my ceiling yet. I think you can only start to fall off permanently when your motivation/drive drops, and I'm still just as motivated as the first day I played on the LCS stage and willing to put in 12 plus hours a day practicing. I think there's a misconception that veterans are a known quantity and rookies have boundless potential. As long as you are willing to put the time in and work hard, as well as stay open-minded, there is no limit to growth in this game. I was really inspired by a documentary I watched recently on YouTube about the Dota 2 team OGs run through T1/9, their version of Worlds. They had a player called Seb who actually was considering just retiring after not having much success after a long time. Didn't play competitive for a while. Then suddenly he can just join and have excellent performances in back-to-back Worlds and win. And if you think about League, there are players like Khan, who was actually playing for 3 years, playing on LSPL teams without much fanfare. Now he's one of the best top laners in the world, right? And then he says after that, I always thought there were two really big differences between me and most other mid laners in North America. One, I am always willing to sacrifice my teammates. For example, on TL, I felt like I would always really find really good gank timings to just blow up top or bot lane, even if I had to sacrifice a little bit. Yet the feeling I get is that a lot of other mid laners in North America are so worried about falling behind 1v1, losing in CS, losing in lane, or really just taking any sort of risk. And I was always confident in being able to at least hold my own in lane no matter what I picked, instead of giving our counter pick to another lane to make the game easier for them. I seriously believe in this no matter what team I play for, strong or weak. Even in the very last game of our failed gauntlet run, I let Viper play mid-Riven versus Irelia because he was just so confident that he would smash the game, and I YOLO played Karma versus Hooney's Gnar because the whole team was on board with it. I played maybe one game of Karma during the whole month of scrims leading up to the gauntlet, and I literally never played the matchup before. Second, when you're getting smashed and the game seems almost impossible to win, you can do two things. AFK on your turret and play for KDA, and your Nexus explodes as so to avoid being flamed by everybody. Or go for really crazy low percentage plays, and maybe you look like a complete idiot and feed hard, but at least you tried instead of just passively bleeding out to death. I am definitely a player that is in the latter category, and I strongly believe most players belong to the first. Maybe this all just sounds like some sort of excuse. I don't know what it is, but I wanted to get my thoughts out. It feels good to write things out that I've been holding in for a while. Hopefully it's not just kind of word vomit. I'm not proofreading any of it. I think deep down I've always been afraid of getting even more and more negative criticism if I posted something like this. And in a way, I have always been afraid to defend myself because it feels like I'm deflecting blame. I've seen a lot of players over the years really have a tough time when they are made to be the scapegoat or weak link of a team's failure, and I never wanted to say anything that made it seem like I was deflecting blame onto any of my teammates who were just really trying to do their best as well. Anyway, I'm always willing to put up when I play poorly. I think I played great in all of 2018 LCS, and I think I played like shit like at the MSI 2018. Especially there was this one game versus Evos where I really just played like a human. We at least would have gotten out of groups, but we did not, and I'm sorry for that. In my defense, our team atmosphere was so bad that we had to sub in Joey for a game because Ole was so mentally broken. I was also just super tilted the whole event, as well because the team environment was so negative and so stressful. Still, I should have played better. I learned a lot from that tournament, and that I needed to be so much mentally stronger. I think I played okay at Rift Rivals, but honestly, I don't remember too well. 2019 Worlds, I actually somewhat remember every game. Honestly, our team environment, he means 2018 Worlds because he wasn't part of the 2019 TL. 2018 Worlds, I actually somewhat remember every game. Honestly, our team environment was not the best, but it felt like we were just flaming each other till like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. LOL. KT Rise game, I made a sacrifice TP play, TPing bot when we should have killed Kindred, but there's some misexecution. In the heat of the moment, it felt like if everything went perfectly with that TP, our bot play would have smashed open the game. Maybe looking back on it, it wasn't a great play. It ended up getting, it ended up setting me really far behind, wasted my flash, luckily somehow survived a gank that I should have died to. Ended up getting solo killed like a noob later and just down 2 levels the whole game. Overall, I played bad. KT LeBlanc game should have gotten 1 or 2 more kills. I can't remember the rest of the game. Overall, I played bad. Looking back on this matchup, could have banned Syndra on, games on 4/5, but I didn't think about it. Or, ban phase, the second ban phase is what he means, and opted into LeBlanc versus Syndra, the second game, and another counter matchup, kind of winnable, but still hard. Overall, KT was a really strong team. I think I really got outperformed individually, but we were also honestly just as worse as a team. They also beat IG this tournament, who won World. We got spanked individually as a team. EDG Galio game, I think I did all I could as Galio in this game. We kept trying to make plays, but just executing. I was Galio versus Azir, so of course we got Giga outscaled and eventually just lost because we couldn't snowball the early game. EDG Syndra game, this was after we were already eliminated from Worlds, but I remember I got caught out for no reason, never at a critical time to me, but it was really bad to get caught that much. I still did my job and pressed R at really good times and played team fights properly though. We played the LMS team G-Rex the other 2 games. Actually, they didn't play G-Rex. They played Mad Team. They didn't play G-Rex because G-Rex was a part of a 100 Thieves group. Yeah. I only remember one of them. I was playing Syndra versus Cass, and I'm pretty sure I was just up 40 CS, ramming it into his turret the whole game and getting kind of annoyed we couldn't snowball the game harder with that much mid priority. This is a lot. Man, he wrote a lot. I think I played pretty well 2019 spring. No, he played incredible. Let's not discredit that. Pobelter played incredible in 2019 spring. A lot of our wins was from me hard carrying on Lissandra and Zoe. In playoffs, we exited out versus GGS, then got hard smashed by TL. I think I played like shit for the first half of Summer Split. Then I started to play just fine. Then I was back to smashing everyone towards the end of our Gauntlet bootcamp. I was really confident we were going to win Gauntlet easily and that I was going to carry hard, but it just didn't pan out on the game day. Anyway, I guess my conclusion on all of this and that it's not the end because I played badly for one split. It's not the end because I didn't play well at a tournament. It's not even the end if I had a bad year or a bad couple of years. Seriously, maybe you read this whole post and think that I'm a shit player, but to me, it will only be the end if I give up because of those failures. But from every failure, there is sincerely a chance of self-reflect, learn, and to grow. I never once got the feeling when playing on stage or in scrims, this player or this team is just on another level that I can't attain. Until I feel that way, I refuse to give up. Right now, I'm working on my future plans. I think I'll be closely involved with the competitive scene and will be open to trying out for any team that might want to try me for Summer Split or before then too, I guess. If you read this all the way to the end, I appreciate it. But there's still more I want to say, but I've been writing this for a couple hours and now I think I've covered most of what I wanted to say. Thanks for reading. Holy mother of God. That was a heaping load of reading. I probably said some things. I'm sorry, that's a lot of reading to do. Also, yeah, you guys know me. My eyes have been kind of bad recently, so probably need to overall get some Visine. But okay, I understand where he's coming from. I understand everything he's saying. I remember these games perfectly, 100%. Was he a weak link going into international events? I think that is deflecting blame because he was a weak link. Whether or not you had a game plan going into a game doesn't discredit you being a weak link. I mean, he was a weak link not because of his mechanical prowess, but because he just overall didn't exert any pressure. I mean, yes, there are a few games where he did do that. I'm not saying that he didn't, but there are times where he just did not play good. And that goes to show he already knows that, and that's a good thing that, you know, a lot of players, when they get criticized of not playing good, they're like, well, I mean, the team didn't have me play this way. No, you individually did not play good. Yes, there are certain, circumstances in where your team will have you do certain things that are out of your comfort zone, and you might look bad doing it. But that doesn't mean you go 0-9 and 0. It's like that person in League who freaking plays a new champion and literally thinks it's their God-given right to go 1-12 and 1 on a new champion. No. Just because you're playing something new doesn't mean you just start feeding. That means you play safer. You know what I mean? I think that when they try to make him flexible, it didn't really pan out that way. Spring, he was playing really well individually. Summer, he played pretty bad. There's been some splits where he's played pretty bad. I don't know if he's been playing good every single split. You know, if he was playing, because he mentioned 2017, which was when he was on Immortals, right? So you have to factor in that was a split they didn't even make playoffs, so that's hard to believe that he actually played good in that split alone. But you know, there are some splits where he played really well, some splits where he played pretty bad, and then some splits he was just consistent, and that's pretty good. But I feel like that he lost his way with what the community was saying, because remember, he was just known as the really consistent player, you know, who's always really going to get you a lead at certain points. He's really good at snowballing if he's ever given the chance. And I think that if you are consistent, that's really good, because a lot of people in the game really aren't consistent, and that really makes it seem like, you know, you're just a random nobody. But he wasn't a random nobody. I think that it was better for him to overall just be really consistent and carry when it needed to be carried, but he tried to be some mega carry that really wasn't his playstyle. I mean, honestly, that was never his playstyle to be a mega carry. But, I mean, if he thinks he's really good at it, I am not here to say that he's not good at it otherwise, because obviously he's the pro and I'm not. But looking at this, I think that he will find a team. You know, looking at how spring is going to pan out for North America, I think that certain teams are not going to play well, and they are going to want to play him. I'm not going to say which ones yet. We need to have finalized rosters yet before we start doing like power rankings and stuff like that. But what I'm looking at is, you know, certain rosters building towards spring always kind of, there's always that one, it's like in every single region, there's that one team that does really, really bad based off their expectations, and then right after that, it's just like, hey, let's just bring in other players, let's try and make this work, let's try and make this salvageable. I mean, it's happened so many times in every single region that, I mean, this time around, I don't think it's going to be any different, though it depends on which team we're actually going to be talking about here. So that's all I'll speak about Pobelter's twit longer, and what he said about for the first time he's not going to be playing since Season 4 on a LCS team. That is crazy, actually. And the same thing poses with Demonte. I mean, Demonte not getting a team is actually pretty interesting, and that's when I'll go over this article too. So Demonte not getting a team. Demonte, oh my god, Demonte League of Legends. Yeah, Demonte also doesn't have a team. And I think Demonte is actually pretty good for a North American mid laner. I think that he improved on every single issue. That was my issue with him, as the reason why I placed him at 10th in the spring split earlier on this year. But later on, he became a top 5 mid laner. He worked on a lot of his issues. He played a lot more champions. He played a lot more aggressive when it needed to be, and played a lot more conservatively when it needed to happen. He was able to lane better, and I think that playing up against top tier talent made him better. And him and Pobelter not getting starting teams is actually atrocious. I really thought that Demonte would go to 100 Thieves. I really thought that. Now, that could still happen. At the time of me recording this video, that could really still happen, but I think that Demonte would be an excellent player to have, you know, on a team if you just need a native North American mid laner. And Pobelter, let's be honest here, guys, he is the most successful in a mid, actually. Except, I mean, you count Bjergsen. I guess if you take out Bjergsen, Pobelter is the native North American successful mid laner. You know, he won on CLG. He's been to the finals multiple times. He's been to Worlds consecutively. He's also won 3 splits. He's a very successful North American mid laner. The fact that a team wouldn't take a risk on him is pretty interesting. I think that FlyQuest overall is what ruined him. I didn't like the FlyQuest move he did last year. I think that is just the worst thing. FlyQuest is going to ruin Power of Evil. Mark my words. Power of Evil, Ignar, the imports on that team are going to be ruined by that team. FlyQuest is just, you know, so bad for people. They make people look so awful. I mean, here, I'm not trying to be a dirtbag right now because a lot of people don't like it when I'm mean. And I'm not being mean, I'm being real. And that's the difference. I'm not being mean, I'm being real. It's 2 different things. Being mean is being like, oh, these guys are effing garbage. I hope they all, just get, hit by a car. That's being mean. This is being honest. They are whack. They are whack. This is a whack brand. This is a whack team. And this is a team that is literally just, I mean, what did Ocelot say teams like them are? Leeches. That's what they are. Literally. I mean, I just don't understand this brand. It's literally just a bunch of trash, and if that's mean to people, whatever, but I'm being honest. And if you don't agree, whatever, you don't have to agree. I really could care less if you agree with me, but this is the team that ruined him. Yes, and by team I mean Oregon brand, because they didn't put the correct resources into obviously helping them succeed. That's what I mean. So if you think that I'm crazy, look at this. He plays for FlyQuest 1 split, 2 splits. Now he's not starting again because they are so badly ran that the other orgs are like, how did he go from consistent Pobelter going to Worlds and stuff to whatever he looked like in that summer split? That looked bad. So even Diamante, I think people are taking the Worlds performance too seriously in the context of how serious you can take that Worlds performance, because you have to factor in that it was his first Worlds. He had the hardest group in the tournament. He literally had to face Xiaohu, Faker, and Nemesis. Those are like, what? The best players at the well, not counting Xiaohu. Faker and Nemesis were like were literally some of the best mids at the tournament. So it's like, what can he really do? But he did improve, and he did really well. And it's just sad that, he can't be on other teams right now, or a North American team of his choosing, because I feel like they'd be ideal candidates for the LCS. Golden Glue, come on guys, I like Golden Glue here. I think he's a really cool guy, but let's be honest here, is Golden Glue really gonna make a difference in the, Golden Guardians? He's not gonna be a frog in. I like Golden Glue. He's improved a lot since we've last seen him, but he's way worse than these two. I think I can say that. I don't think he's a horrible player, but I think that he's worse than these two. And the fact that Golden Glue out of these three is the one that's starting is pretty interesting. All right, next article is the LCS import bubble is built to burst. This is written by Michael Kelly. Perhaps the biggest debate surrounding professional League of Legends right now is the conversation regarding imported talent in the LCS. Over the course of the past few seasons, North America has been evolving into more and more of import-heavy league, with domestic players being tossed to the wayside in favor of international talent. The off-season, that conversation is reaching its boiling point as domestic players are losing more starting jobs than ever before. Going into 2020, the level at which North American is prioritizing imports is unprecedented. The biggest criticism of North America as a region is that import slots are only really used on aging veterans from across the globe, effectively turning the LCS into a de facto retirement home for players who are past their prime and seeking huge payday. However, heading into 2020, that narrative seems to be shifting slightly as teams are using import slots to invest into younger international talent. And while it's commendable that teams are taking a chance on unproven commodities, North American fans can't help but feel a little bit disappointed that those commodities are coming from an international pool of players as opposed to their own backyard. Sure, it'll be interesting to see players like Ryoma, players like Ryoma and Ica perform on the LCS stage, but with players like Diamante and Pobelter left on the sidelines, the level of North American talent actually in the North American scene is quickly dwindling. I think that for mid, being a North American mid laner is dwindling. I don't think that, because you factor in there are teams that have North American top laners. I think that it's a little bit overblown, but I understand where they're coming from. North America is kind of prioritizing, a lot more import talent, but at least if you're taking a chance on international wildcard talent, there's a chance for a bigger upside, because at least they probably don't cost as much. The fact that organizations are willing to invest in young talent is most definitely a step in the right direction for North America, but if the region never invests in its own players, the foundation of the league will surely get weaker with time. The more that the league invests into international players, the quicker those players become a staple in the league. Soon after, the LCS will shift to a point where imports are the standard, not the exception. Once those scales tip, it will be incredibly difficult for the LCS to turn back. League across the world have proven that placing stock in domestic players will ultimately result in winning outcomes. It's not going to happen overnight, but with time, those same pieces, unproven domestic talent, will turn into regional superstars. Take the LEC, for example. Back in 2014, the league was known as the EU LCS and was achieving consistent results on the international stage during the early phases of competitive league. Fnatic was fresh off a trip to the World semifinals, and with 3 powerhouse teams coming into Worlds the following next seasons, SK Gaming, Fnatic, and Alliance, the region was poised for yet another solid showing at the World Championship. But the tides shifted and the rest of the world passed Europe by. Not a single EU LCS team advanced from the group stage at Worlds in 2014, and it was time for the league to reassess its strengths. The following year, Fnatic, alongside all European squad named Origin, reached World semifinals as the teams both featured players in their first full seasons. Febivin, Niels, and additionally, Amazing and Reckless had developed into full-fledged European powerhouses, dominating the scene both domestically and internationally, with veteran presences like Xpeke and Yellowstar at the forefront of these two squads. Europe was looking like a real contender for a World's title once again, as rookies, prodigies, and seasoned veterans alike were performing incredibly well on the world stage. The point here is that when you invest in your own players, you'll eventually have a sustainable hierarchy of talent that is rooted in its veterans, succeeds with 2nd and 3-year sensations, and is kept alive by its pieces of domestic rookie talent. For years, Europe has been building upon a talent pool that's kept the league ecosystem alive mainly without the help of imported talent. The LEC just took a team of 5 domestic players in G2 esports all the way to the finals of the World Championship. When is North America going to be able to say that they've done something like that? The organizations of the LEC, LPL, and LCK don't have to rely on imports to keep their respective leagues in contention. International players in those regions are simply there to complement the superstars that the league have built on their own home soil. That's not the case in North America. If anything, imported players are the catalyst for league success. The bulk of NA teams have been placing emphasis on international players as if they are going to be the answer to all of the long-term problems. The LCS is searching for a quick fix, when in reality, what the league needs is a large-scale rebuild. What a great article. Oh my god, that was absolutely incredible. I love that. That was insane. Oh my goodness. So what they're saying is that imports are for short-term success and it's not for longer term. Like I said before, you look at Fnatic, you look at G2. They both teams made world finals with just their own homegrown talent. Caps was from I mean, I guess that's kind of in the same place of Europe in general. So let's just count that. I mean, no, Caps was a European player. What the heck am I saying? Yeah, 10 players. Caps. Well, I mean, it's 9 players because Caps went twice. 9 players, 9 homegrown EU players made world finals. Now, the issue with North American players doing that is I think that the best shot that you had a chance of looking at that was the Cloud9 roster in 2018. 2 imports, 3 North American players. That is, I think, the more ideal way of looking at how the North American scene will actually get. But, because I think that it's not bad to have imports on your roster to make world finals. That's not the worst thing. I think that the worst problem with that is that if imports are basically your key to success, you're not going to do well. I'm saying that if an all North American team wants to, win an LCS title and then go to MSI, yes, they are going to have some struggles. That is going to happen because it's not going to be easy when you first do it. Europe did not have it easy when they transitioned over to not having imports. But that's the thing though. A lot of the other teams did have imports. It's just that the most successful teams in Fnatic and G2 didn't have imports. That's the reason. Because Fnatic, after Huni and Reignover, did Gamsu and Spirit, that failed. And then after that it was Kikis and Spirit, that failed. And then obviously G2, Hybrid, Emperor, yeah, they had imports. They had Tricken, what's his name? Emperor, that won a title. And then later on, as the years started going by, they realized that imports are just temporary fixes to problems that you can fix within your own talent. No one is saying you can't import players. No one's saying that, but don't use that as a catalyst to success. Now, let's say if North America eventually gets to a World Finals, because people need to understand eventually North America will hit a World Finals. I'm humbly going to say that because eventually in sports, these things happen. You know how people said North America will never reach semis at Worlds? Well, Cloud9 did that. You know, people said that, you know, no Western team can ever reach the finals. Fnatic and G2 did that. Eventually, North America will reach a World Finals. Now, winning it is probably not going to happen. But eventually, you know, North America will be at a World Finals. This is going to happen. This is just how sports work. The issue is, will it be with imports or will it be with homegrown talent? Now, if it's half and half, I think that's fine. But if it's full imports, that's hard to say if that was actually North America. But they were playing in North America that respective year if they did make World Finals. So you are a North American player for that shorter period of time, so I kind of understand it. But I think that if the region doesn't exactly do this, because this just might be a year where they're proving like, okay, North America is serious about winning. Let's just get good players, and then let's just have a good run at Worlds this year coming up. I think that it's a good thing to really look at that, but then it's also one thing to say that and go, you know, we're not doing well in scrims, you know, the team is kind of imploding, and it's just the same excuses over and over again. It's really hard to say. I firmly believe that if it's imports and North American players, it's fine, because at least those North American players can build up and become superstars. But if it's all imports, and let's say if NA wins Worlds one year and it's all imports, I mean, at the end of the day, it's Worlds. You won Worlds, the best event of the year, the most prestige event of the year. People will only remember winning Worlds. They're not going to remember, you know, how it was won other than the fact that it was won. Nobody remembers the hardships that Cloud9 went through last year in order to make semifinals. They just remember that Cloud9 made semifinals at Worlds. The same thing with G2. Nobody remembers Yarden and Watt did and how garbage they were and how boosted they were. They were so bad. And when Perks said he was, I think Perks on like one Listen Loco episode said Perks was good. Oh my god. Perks said Yarden was good. I was like, oh crap. Okay. Alright, bro. Goodness gracious. I was like, alright, bro. You don't have to lie. But, you know what I mean? I think, at the end of the day, results are what NA is looking for. And if imports are the best way of getting that, I mean, I'm not going to say it's the wrong thing, because I'm not trying to sound, what's that word? Patriotic, but North America is founded upon a bunch of other people around the world coming together. So, in spirit of North American tradition, it's better for imports to be here. And if the region won with full of imports, I mean, it is the North American way to have people around the world come here and do well and live your dreams. So, I mean, it's always, what's the word I'm going to look for? A slippery slope when you talk about imports in the league. But DeMonte and Pobelter not having starting teams is like, what the actual freak? What is actually going on? And I think that you got to look at certain things that really pan out differently with all of these situations. All right, sources. Dig is spending 1/3 of its budget on Humni, struggling to sign other players. I mean, that's not even surprising. It's been exactly 2 weeks since Huni signed with Dignitas, and he still has no teammates. Every player left the team. It's been a week since free agency opened up, with tons of free agents to be signed, and Dig still sits on a one-man team. This is a clear problem. Huni's salary brings up a lot of concerns around the league. Since it's been 2 weeks, here is a reminder of Huni's terms. According to ESPN, on November 11th, Huni verbally agreed to a contract with Dignitas for $2.3 million in guaranteed money over the course of the next 2 seasons. Dig can't pay other players. Quite simply, with Huni's salary so high, Dig has limited their ability to pay other talent. Multiple sources close to Invern Global have confirmed the ESPN report was correct. More so, Dig is spending a large portion of their budget than anticipated on the star top laner. They've hamstrung their ability to afford anybody else, which isn't surprising when taking into account they still have yet to sign a single other player 2 weeks later. Sources have also reported the overall budget for player salary is a bit over $3 million, putting Huni right at 1/3 of Dig's overall salary. However, the $2.3 million for years was just base pay. This was not an ESPN report, but Huni had other incentives in the contract as well, meaning his overall pay could increase, increasing his pay to more than 1/3 of the overall team budget. So quite obviously, Dig does still have roster money, but it is less than necessary to put together a star roster, and it's quite clear that something has gone wrong with whatever their plans were for signings. They released every player from the team and haven't signed anybody yet. Vulcan, for instance, is an incredibly valuable player. He is someone who made it to Worlds in his debut split and was relatively sold throughout the season. Relatively solid throughout the season. He was bought out shortly after Huni's signing for $1.5 million, including a player. Dig didn't necessarily need that money for player salary since they still have some budget left, but that type of trade from a team who needs players is clearly optimistic. Whether or not it was directly out of Dig repairing their team budget is entirely speculation, but it's quite possible the trade would not have been worth it if so much of that budget had not been used up. It's worth to note a trade deal like that goes above coaches, managers, and even a CEO. $1.5 million in a single buyout is an owner decision and does not necessarily reflect the original plan for roster development. They're likely to release something soon, but after a roster bounces back from the 9th to make Worlds to then competitively blowing it up, something went wrong. And with no contract signed other than Huni's, it's a large issue. Huni wants to win North America, but when he pulls this much of an org's overall salary budget, he limits his ability to have a good team around him. Every team has a budget. No team in North America at least can pay every player $1 million per year. Not even Team Liquid. So this is an issue according to a lot of other, basically people who are in the scene, is that if you're spending 1/3 of your budget on Huni, just think about somebody else coming in, just think about, like, if I apply for a job and they give you the salary and they're like, okay, you're all gonna make this, but this one guy, he's gonna get, $5 more than all of you. So let's say I make $15 an hour. The other guy, this one random guy, is gonna get $15 an hour. Let's say $20 an hour, right? You're probably thinking to yourself, why would I be here when I could just go to a job that's gonna pay me $20 an hour? You see what I'm saying? Like, there is definitely something here that definitely went wrong. Maybe they realized they need Huni for branding purposes. Maybe they realized they needed Huni to obviously push their content, because let's be honest here, Dignitas's content outside of their podcast is pretty whack. It's just that Dignitas is obviously looking to push itself to be a competitive team moving into 2020 spring. Now, with that being said, spending 1/3 of its budget on Huni, I mean, if Liquid is not even spending $1 million on a player, right? And they currently are the most successful NA organization, then what the hell is Dig doing? Because let's be honest here, they're not winning the split. Their highest placing, I think, is going to be 4th place. They get probably knocked out by TSM if they're facing them in semifinals. Let's just make that example, right? Let's say if Dignitas makes top 4, they get to, semifinals. Let's say they face TSM. TSM's going to wipe them off the face of the Rift. Let's be honest here. That TSM roster is going to look much better than anything Dignitas will put up. Let's be honest here, right? So after that, can you justify that money? If you are not getting to the final, I'd say hear me out. Unless you get to the finals or win a split, that amount of money wasted on him is a waste. Now, I'm not saying that he shouldn't collect his money. If you offered me $2.3 million, I mean, I don't know what I'd do for that, but I'd do a lot of things for that. Now, I'm not saying it's his fault. He should be taking that money. Nobody's going to turn down, $2.3 million. That's just how it's going to work. But Dignitas overall not letting him go because of his player salary. I think that after this year, Huni is not going to be able to get a team that's going to be able to afford him, because that salary, unless he takes a pay cut, he's not going to be on another team. No team is going to pay him that much, you know, because Dignitas is desperate, so they're going to do it, obviously, to have a brand player. And it's 2-year contract, so yeah, 2 years, he better get your channel popping. That channel better be at like 200K. And that channel better have some good content, because you guys better, every single person that does content with this guy better be using him effectively to its fullest. And if they're struggling to sign players, it's because they seen that salary and they're like, well, if I can't make as much as Huni, what's the point of playing for this team then? That's probably how a lot of pros probably think about it. But it's something that obviously we don't know unless we're exactly behind the scenes. But this is crazy, man. I'm actually sad they released this, because this just makes things crazy. You know what I mean? Like, how are they even gonna really accurately run their academy lineup? They have to have an academy lineup. Being in North America, you have to have academy players. Now, you don't pay them that much anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But, you know what I mean? That is just overall nuts to really think about, is that they are struggling to sign players. But let's see how this pans out. You know, I think that going into the split, TL, TSM, Cloud9, and maybe Evil Geniuses will be the best teams. Looking at Dignitas, they're probably going to get 5th in the LCS. They might get semifinals, top 4. I mean, I guess if 2.3 million gets you that, I mean, if that's your only goal, that's fine. But it's reported the other day ago, you can just look it up on Reddit, is that what Huni makes right now is literally what would take care of Origin, salary for the whole year, and maintenance costs. Not kidding. Everything Huni makes, Origin said would pay all the players, their salaries, maintenance cost, food, utilities, and yeah, travel costs if need to be, obviously, if they, you know, go to international events. That's crazy. That's just absolutely, oh my god, Dignitas, good lord. This is gonna, guys, it's gonna backfire. This is going to extremely not work out. I think this is just ridiculous. But that's my hot takes on all of these things. So I'll see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I'm the Nightwing, and Wave Life Esports is signing out.
Hi there, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah, thank you.